Hello everyone, welcome back to this episode of Have Gun Will Travel. In this episode, I'll be comparing my Glock Gen 4 to my other Glock Gen 4. I'm sorry, not my other Glock Gen 4, my Glock Gen 3. And I'm going to compare them side by side and also go out to the range and shoot them as well and compare them side by side. But let's just quickly compare the difference. So they're both Glock 19s. This is a Gen 3, and first thing you can notice from the Gen 3 and then the Gen 4, see right there it says Gen 4 right there, is the texture on the grip is different. I've already shot these two. This is very smooth, no grip to it whatsoever, and then these are more grooves in the finger, are a little bit thicker. At least that's the texture is anyway. And on the back side, you could, there's grooves. There's no line here, as you can see, because this has an attachable back strap on it, so you can change the back a little bit, but those are the difference here. This feels more of a better grip, in my opinion, on the Gen 4. This, not so, but it feels a little harder right here, at least on my hand. You can see it's kind of, my fingers are kind of getting red here. I'm holding up here and all that. That's what I noticed on the Gen 3. So anyways, the other difference is on the Gen 3, the magazine release is really small compared to on the Gen 4. It's a lot bigger, and so I do have to admit that it is takes a little bit more effort to push that smaller button. I almost kind of want to use my other finger here. So it's a little harder to push that button on the Gen 3 versus the Gen 4, which is a bigger button. A lot easier to release that button holding the gun. A lot easier. So there's that difference. So let's do the breakdown. So the bottom should be the same. The top is probably going to be the biggest difference here. The top slide. This one came out a lot smoother, that's what I noticed. And here's the slide. So the slide's the biggest difference, as you can see. Let's just compare. Okay, So this is the Gen 4, Gen 3. There's that little difference, a little bump right here on the Gen 4. You don't get on the Gen 3. For some reason the Gen 3 has a kind of number on this little trigger release. Other than that, I mean, it looks the same. Of course, the front end's different. This is the Gen 4 right here. This is the Gen 3. And you realize that they're different because of the way the slides are set up. So, and then here's the Gen 4, and here's the Gen 3. So this looks very similar to the SD9, and this is the Gen 4. Does it make a difference? I think it makes a slight difference. This dual spring action here makes a slight bit of difference. So there's the spring, and then here's the barrel. So if you see the front, you see it's more round, and hence that's why the front of the Gen 4 is different. That's about it, and let's just take apart the Gen 3. That's a spring for this. Here's the barrel, and then the slide. You see the difference here in the slide. A lot. And then the spring difference. So I'm going to shoot and compare. Does it make a difference? I don't know. It's a slight difference when I pull on this, when I pull the slide versus this. A slight difference. I don't know if it will shoot any different. What I did notice is that I think you can swap the barrel. So this came from here. I'm going to swap it in. And I've already tried it, so it does work. Does it shoot? I'm not sure. But the barrels look like they're interchangeable. The spring is not, of course, and the slides are not because of the way obviously the way they're set up. They're different here in the front, so they're not interchangeable. But at least the barrels are interchangeable. And I already put it in, slide it, dry fired it, so that's probably the good thing about it. But the slides themselves and the pins are not interchangeable. The magazines are interchangeable. I think you'll get this style of magazines where you buy Gen 3 or Gen 4. So, anyways, those are the main differences. The spring. Obviously the front of the slide, and then the front of the gun, this plastic piece. There's a little bit more here, but it still bends. And then there's that little bump here on your trigger bar here. Anyways, but the major difference as far as function is going to be this mag release. That's the only one thing I have an issue with, because it is hard to, from holding position, to push that in. You really it's hard to push that. It is really small, and you have to put a lot of effort into it. That's the only downside about the Gen 3, in my opinion. Other than that, I don't see any difference on how it shoots, but I'll find out as I compare both of them. So let's put these together now. The other thing I did notice is the slide on this seems a little bit rougher on the Gen 4 to slide out versus the Gen 3, which just slides out real easy. So, but other than that, it's the same gun. The same barrel can be swapped. The slide it can't because of the way the fronts are set up. But other than that, the barrel can be swapped out. The lower, well, I guess that's the only thing that can be swapped out. The lower won't be compatible because of the way the front is set up. That's it. And the major difference is, other than the texture on the handle, I mean just the way you handle the gun. The magazine release is a lot easier on this to, while you're holding it, to release, and then the texture on the handles I think a lot better. I can probably do this with bare hand, hold it, but I'm practicing wearing a glove, and holding it, which if you once you wear a glove, I guess it doesn't really matter, but the big difference when you use the Glock Gen 4 is because of the bigger button. It is a lot easier to release while you're holding on to your gun with a glove. You kind of lose some dexterity when you wear a glove versus the Gen 3, and pushing that button really hard, especially with the glove on now. So you kind of have to actually take your hand slightly off of it. You kind of have to like go from this to like this, holding it from this to holding it from this. You kind of have to take your gun, your hands, you don't really take it, it gets out of position, and you have to, especially with the glove, it's really hard. But I can't do it from a holding position. It just doesn't quite reach. So you kind of have to literally get out of position to do that. So, but with the glove, it doesn't, texture-wise, it doesn't feel any different or anything. But the release button makes a huge difference, and so you can see the cutout for it is also different. So that's probably the only major difference I could tell as far as how it would function in my hand. This would be a little bit easier because of the button, magazine button. You can shoot it from. Still takes a little bit of effort, but it's way easier, and I don't have to lose a lot of position on it. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this at the range. I'll cut out and cut back in later. Welcome back, everybody. I'm at the range, and I'm going to test the this Glock Gen 3 right here. I'm sorry, Glock Gen 4, and then the Glock Gen 3. I'm just going to shoot around. I'll shoot this much, and I'll just see how it shoots, and after that I'm just going to have a lot of fun. Here's my target out here, Anyways, let me cut in and I'll cut out. Alright everyone, the left side is Gen 3, right side Gen 4. Just shot the first 17 rounds, and I'm going to go ahead and go on to the 30 round on each and just have fun shooting. Let's see what happens. Alright, I'm cutting back in, and I'm done with 2 15 and 30 rounds. Same thing here, 215 and a 30, and that's what I got. And it seems more like Gen 3, mostly rapid fire. Gen 4, I'm shooting more in groups here and not so much here, and maybe the recoil spring is the difference, maybe not, I'm not sure, but let me have some fun with it. I gotta shoot long range, which is the bottom two, so let me cut in, cut out. Alright everyone, I'm coming back in, and this is my long distance shot at 15 yards. And that's the Gen 4. This is the Gen 3. Pushing to the left a little, but got 3 rounds. You can circle here. 3 rounds in the inner. Shoot about the same distance. Did slightly better with the Gen 4. Let me cut out. Alright everyone, I've cut back in. I've shot all the rounds here. I did the last 15 here in this grouping area, 15 here on this grouping area. Seemed like the Gen 3 grouped a little better when I took my time versus the Gen 4, a little bit spread. This area right here is my last 8 shots out of each gun, and they both shot in here, grouped together really close when I took my time, and this is at 7 yards, so not too bad. And let me cut out. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is cut in from comparison with my 2 Glocks that I have here. One being a Gen 3 here. I already went over what the differences are, and this is my Gen 4 Glock, both 19s. Very simply because, well, first of all, they both fit in my holster right here. This is where outside, they both fit in just fine. They both fit in the holster just fine. Magazines are, you're going to get the same magazine. They both work with the same magazine. And vice versa. They also work with other Glock magazines too. 17. 18, the 30 round, 33 round. Anything that's larger than a 19 magazine will obviously fit in here as long as it's Glock. So both are very similar, except the external differences of the texture on here. These really hurt bare hand. They seem to hurt anyway. I wore some gloves this time that takes that away. And there's a difference on here. This doesn't hurt as much, but it seems to have a little, the grip, the texture on this really helps with the grip. Of course, the release, magazine release, I think is way better on Gen 4 here. So how's it shoot? When I went to the range, I was mostly shooting rapid fire. Let me see how many per each. 60, maybe 70 rounds for each gun, which is basically two 15 rounds and one 30 round. So about 70. That's about 70, I think. No, that's 30. No, that's 60. Okay. I might have shot a little bit more for long distance shots down to 15 yards. So at 7 yards I was shooting rapid. And on the Gen 4 what I noticed was that shooting rapidly seems to group better. So on paper as I was shooting, I noticed that some of the bullets went through around in the same area more consistently with the Gen 4 than my Gen 3. It didn't seem to group as consistent, and that could be because of this comes out really easily. Seems to slide out real easily. That could be because of the way the spring is set up. I mean, it's set up like this, where now this one seems to be a little rough right about here as it comes through the second pass. On that Gen 4, it seems to be really rough right about here. Don't know why. Not quite sure. But anyways, it works. I know that the barrels between each of them are interchangeable. Just the guide rod and the slide will not work because of the way they're shaped in the front, and the way these are shaped in the front as well. But as you see, this is seems like a double coil spring here. I think it slightly does help with the recoil when you're shooting rapid fire. When I was shooting it, the bullets seemed to group better. So I think for this situation, if you're shooting 3 shots burst, 2-shot burst, 4-shot burst, the Glock Gen 4 will seem to group better than the Gen 3, but it's not that you can't group them. It's not that you can't group them, it's just for whatever reason when I was shooting rapidly, the Gen 3 didn't seem to group as much as the Gen 4 in rapid shooting. But what I did notice on the Gen 3 when I was shooting in my hands, further down range, 15 yards, and when I'm shooting just single shots, I'm not rapid fire, I'm just trying to hit the target at 15 yards. The Gen 3 seemed to shoot more accurately. Although on paper they shot within the target that I was aiming at, about 5 rounds each. But it seemed that the Gen 3 seemed to be more accurate on a single shot at long distance, 15 yards, than the Gen 4. Of course, they should shoot the same, but maybe I'm not sure what it was. Maybe the grip. Maybe by the time I was starting to shoot on the Gen 3, I got a little bit better with my aim because I did shoot with this first long distance. But they both shot long distance very well. Not much of a difference between the Gen 4 and the Gen 3. although it does seem like the Gen 3 did shoot a little bit more accurate, just a little bit more. So between the two, which one would I carry? I would carry the Gen 4 on me as my main sidearm, mainly because of the magazine release. And basically on my main firearm, my main sidearm, I do carry hollow points already in here. So what I like about it is the mag release, because you can, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier while I have it here. While I have a hand on my grip, I can release a lot easier than on my Gen 3, which is a really small little button if you compare the two. You see that the size is way different. See that? That's really a small little button to push on, and it's really further out, further away, where I have to shift my hand and then push. At least in my hand. And then I can't. It's easier for my middle finger. Not that much easier. So I kind of have to move this, go like this to like this. Of course, if you got two hands, you won't have to really worry about that. You just use the other hand. But in any case, if you had one hand, you would have to, it's a little bit harder to, you have to let go of your grip, release your grip to. That's the only thing I don't like about the Gen 3. That's why it's not my main carry. This is actually my backup carry that goes into my fanny packs. But this is my main sidearm. This is what I would go for first, the Gen 4. Actually, it doesn't really matter, they both shoot. But if I had a choice, I would take the Gen 4. But since I got both, it really doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm very happy with the way they both shot. They're both better than the SD9 VE. That's why I went ahead and bought 2 Glocks. Anyway, this concludes this episode. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, or do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.